My name is Michuki Mwangi. I'm the Regional Development Manager for Africa at the Internet Society. The DNS Forum was formed out of a realization that we needed to develop the DNS industry in Africa. We realized that the efforts to bring together the various stakeholders did not exist, and to grow that particular industry, we needed to bring together all the stakeholders that are involved in the domain name space. And in fact, in most of these areas, they actually did not exist. So the forum aims to bring together the registry operators, the registrars, and other service providers that make that entire industry thrive. What are we talking about here? For a domain name to grow, or for a CCTLD to function very well, it needs various stakeholders. For instance, the CCTLD will need to be hosted in a space or a facility that provides it with the uptime that is needed for the service to operate 24/7, 365. And that will probably be in a data center. The CCTLD will need to have the technology. It will also need registrars who will interact with the end users. It will also need the policymakers to have the right policies in place so that it supports the function of the registry. So all these stakeholders need an opportunity to be able to engage with each other, to understand what the barriers and the challenges exist in that space. And if they are able to tackle the issues that exist, then it creates an environment where the DNS ecosystem can grow. So what happens when the DNS ecosystem grows? Well, we see a lot of benefit. CCTLDs have actually been able to impact the internet in various countries around the world. And a good way to look at this is that if the internet grows, it means there are more services, there is more industry development, there's more innovation that takes place. So the objective and the theme of this year's fourth Africa DNS Forum was to try and bring people together to understand the role of partnerships and collaboration towards internet domain name space growth and development. And we hope that throughout the discussions held this year, we've been able to identify there is a need for actions to be taken to be able to grow the DNS space, and that to be able to achieve that goal, we will need to develop stronger partnerships. We'll need to engage more with our stakeholders, meaning we have to go out and do outreach activities. We need to have people sitting together in working groups so that they can be able to identify, to address some of the issues that have been identified. One particular issue which came out very strongly in the discussions is how do we promote cross-border domain name registrations? This goes through standardizing the registrars or the organizations that help with domain registrations. How can a registrar in Nigeria be able to register domain names in Kenya and vice versa? Well, if the registries or the organizations that manage the domain names are able to talk to each other and allow the registrars or the organizations doing the domain names registrations to register across borders, then it means there is more diversity. So a business that has operations in Kenya and Nigeria will be able to safeguard their intellectual property with respect to the domain name across borders. But the other question is, how do they make payments across different registries? And this is an issue because we know in Africa there is no one way of making payments across the region without being subjected to have very high payment costs. So we want to find solutions that enable people to actually pay for services like domain name registrations across borders with ease. And that in itself will help grow the domain name industry. And as a result, it's very obvious that the more domain names that end up being registered, the more content we have online, the more businesses that are going online, and the more everyone tends to benefit across the board. So we are hoping that the partnerships that will be developed from here, the working groups that will be established to find solutions towards resolving these issues that have been identified will help us advance the internet domain name growth in Africa as we go forward. Thank you.